Hello and welcome. In this video, I'll be showing you how I created a die cut inlay card using outline die cuts and then more detailed die cuts with these fun fall leaves. So let's get started. First, gonna cut out the front of our card panel, which is gonna be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And this is in an off-white cream colored cardstock. Then I'll use the outline dies of our leaves to create a sort of arrangement of leaves on the front of our card. And because the leaves are so large, they will fall off the edges there. I'm just trying to get a random assortment where no two leaves that are the same are lined up with each other. And then I'll go ahead and add some low tack tape to keep those die cuts in place to avoid shifting when I run it through my die cut machine. And then here's our layout after running it through our die cut machine, and this is what it looks like on top of our card base. And we'll go ahead and take out different colors of cardstock and use our scissors to sort of cut a shape for what will go behind the die cut top panel. And I'm using darker color cardstock for the back that will sort of sit in our inlay of our front panel. It can be a little bit tricky to get around some of those leaves. And so I'm using sort of a rainbow color pattern, so I have sort of a lighter reddish tone, an orange tone, a yellow tone, and a green tone. In this case, I accidentally cut out the lighter color for our outline, so you'll see that switch later on in the video. And then there's sort of a blue teal color, and finally a purple color. And once we have all of these sort of cut out, we'll then cut out some cardstock in the same tones, just in lighter colors. This is where I realized I picked the wrong one, so I had to switch back to a darker color for the background. So these are the actual leaf dies, and so we'll go ahead and cut those out of the different colored cardstocks in slightly lighter tones and run those through our die cutting machine. So now I'm sort of creating a hinge with our front panel, so it's easy to flip back and forth between seeing the panel in front, making sure it lines up, and seeing where we should place our cardstock. So on the darker tones that aren't cut out of leaves, I'm adding some liquid adhesive and sort of aligning that behind the associated shape for each color. And I want to make sure that they don't overlap because I don't want to create too much bulk, so I'll be trimming some of the, once they're inside some of the cardstock, just to make sure that they aren't overlapping on the inside. And we'll just repeat that for every single one of our different tones. And then using that sort of hinge of the top panel to line it up properly. And at this point, the hinge will need to be removed because now we're on that one side of the card. And I sort of trimmed it down before putting it in, so again, it wouldn't overlap too much on the inside of the card. And then finally onto our last color, putting that on the inside. And then we'll go ahead and trim all the excess off the edges of our card panel. And then on the back of our front panel, we're going to add some foam tape to give it a little bit of depth, and all I had were these tiny foam squares, so there are a lot of foam squares. And then we'll go ahead and line that up with our card base. And if we've done this all correctly, the panel will cover all that weird sort of, all those shapes, and you'll just see the color poking through. And then on the die cut leaves, we're gonna go ahead and add liquid adhesive to the back of the leaves and stick those in the center of our die cut. Sort of, there's kind of frames at this point. And so again, there's that light color cardstock on top of the dark colored cardstock. So it looks almost like a shadow on for each of our leaves. And finally onto our last little leaf here. So adding that adhesive and sticking that onto our card. Or actually, this is the last leaf. It didn't go in order here. I'm not sure why. And that leaf is a little bit short because, again, I accidentally cut it out of the wrong color originally. Then we're just going to go ahead and trim, again, these the die cuts that are hanging off the edge. So it's a perfectly 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 shaped card. And originally I had been intending this to be a top folding card, but once I decided on my sentiment and die cut that out of black cardstock with a white shadow frame, I changed my mind and decided I wanted it to be sort of a landscape kind of card, and so it ends up opening to the side the long way rather than up, but it still works. So adding my adhesive on the back of my sentiment here to apply it to sort of the shadow die, and then applying adhesive on the back of that to then stick it on the card. And here's what I mean about it. Originally trying to be a top folding card, now it's a side folding card, where the small side is the fold. And then I decided to add some of these sparkly clear sequins to the cards, just to give it a little extra something something. And so I'm just using my wax tool to pick up the sequins and my little dab of glue underneath. And here is the finished card. Again, it's a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. We're using sort of a darker color on the backs to sort of create kind of a shadow, sort of an inlay effect. And it's a side folding card. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope you'll check out some of my other card making videos.